Hello, Stampin' friends. Welcome. I'm Brenda Miller. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time so that I can share with you some of the things that I'm working on or things that have appealed to me or that I've been thinking about. And today is no exception. Today I am sharing a um, a set of papers and a stamp set that are in the annual catalog. Now, we had a meeting on Monday and we were talking about how once the new mini catalogs come out, we tend to forget about what's in the main catalog. And I thought this would be a perfect week to just to remind you of some of the things that are there and some of my favorites. So I pulled out two cards that we're going to make and hopefully get you excited about something that's actually in the main catalog. So let's go ahead and flip over to my desktop so I can share it. So as we come over here, here we have card number one, and you can see this card is made with, first of all, the designer series papers called Masterfully Made. Now they're really hard for me to show you in person just because of my camera setup, so that's why I like to bring it here. But you can see, look at these gorgeous colors that are in here, and each piece of paper has a completely different look. We're actually using these two sheets right here. That's what we used to make this card and the next one. But I just wanted to show you where that is. And it's on page 103 in the main catalog. And you can see these are the colors that it uses. So they're really, really pretty. And also this card and the next one use the Layering Leaves stamp set, which is my go-to stamp set from this catalog. I love the sentiments. I know I've used it before, but it's worth seeing again, and it coordinates beautifully with this designer series paper, especially when you combine it with the Bows Punch, which is back in stock. This was not available for a little while, but it is back, so I'm excited to say. So if you don't have it, you probably want to go ahead and grab it. So that being said, let's go ahead and make this first card. We're starting with the Berry Burst cardstock. How pretty is this? I don't know. I just love this color. I just think it's such a happy shade. I guess I consider it a pinky purple, but there we have it. And now we can see that my paper is not cut to the right size. Oh my gosh! Here I am thinking I got everything set. 1 second, please. I don't know if you saw that, but it was a little bit long, and just raced over to my paper trimmer right on the other side of the room. Here we go. We're back. All right. So we have this is 5.5 by 8.5, folded at 4 1/4. And this is one of the sheets of paper. You can see how it gives it that textured look, the torn paper look with the white. This is the other side, and you can see on here, it's also got torn papers, but this side actually looks like a scene. This side is just basically stripes. So that's what we're going to use. So let me grab my stamp and seal. And here we go. We'll put this on the front of the card. Just so pretty. All coordinates perfectly, right? All the colors matching. And then we're going to take just a strip of white, basic white cardstock. This is 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. And this is such a basic standard card that you can make with any designer series paper. I always like to point that out because you may not have this paper right now, and you may decide that you can use a different package of paper, and you can really use any papers that coordinate can make this card. And by using just the white in the background, it kind of pops it up a little bit. I could have easily used Pretty Peacock or any other color that I could pull out of here, but in this case I chose to use the white. Now I took some basic white cardstock and I cut out one of our octagons. I always want to say hexagon, but it's not. It has 8 sides, and these are from the Countryside Corners. They're the dies that are associated with the Countryside Corners. This is the third one. That's the size of this one that we used. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp on this label. And we're going to put in Berry Burst, I'm going to stamp "So happy to celebrate you." Of course, that's a perfect birthday, but it could also be a shower of some kind, or you're celebrating someone, or an anniversary. It could be really anything. Okay, so now that we've got that, we are going to add this to our card front using dimensionals, which I don't know why they disappear so fast. Let me grab some. So we have our dimensionals here. I'm just going to use 2. Now, of course, you could use, with this card design, you can use any kind of label. And the key is to do a little bit of overlapping. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and place this basically in the center of the card, but I want to make sure that I'm touching all the different designer series papers just to keep the flow going. Okay, so we have that, and our finishing touch on this card is going to be using the punch. Okay, when we use the punch, we turn it upside down, and I'm unnecessarily using a large piece of paper, but that's what I had handy. And you can see it cuts out 2 different sizes. I'm going to use the bigger size for this, and I'm going to just adhere it with some of our glue. Okay, so we just put a little bit on some of the leaves, and we'll put that down, and that will be lovely. Now, of course, we could zhuzh it up a little bit by using some gems or anything like that, but for now, I'm just going to leave it as this. So I'm holding it in place just so that it sets, and there we have it. So that's card number 1. Now, you're also going to want to put a piece of white in the middle so that you can write, but I don't have a piece of white right here. I didn't think of that. And that is card number 1. But we're not done yet. We have 2 cards today to share because they use a lot of the same pieces. And our next card is this one that I just got some ink on, which does not make me happy, but there we go. All right, so this card looks like it's using a full sheet of the DSP, meaning covering the whole card front, but it is not. I think I shared this on my Facebook page at one point, but I didn't show how we made it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So, hey, Dawn, thank you for the comment there. Nice to see you. So we're going to start with, I must have done this in a class because I've got lots of pieces here. We're going to start with a piece of basic white cardstock, and we're going to just fold it in half. So this, again, standard size 8.5 by 5.5, and fold it at 4 1/4. And now we're going to take 2 pieces of that stunning designer series paper. Okay, and I have a bunch of them here, so these I just cut into 1/2-inch strips, and I'm going to pick 2 that I like the most. I want them to have a bunch of flowers on it, since I happen to have some with choices. So I'm going to take, I think, these 2 and save the rest for another day. And I'm going to just take my glue, and I'm just going to put a thin line, whoops, or a thick line, if you will, down one side and down the other. And this is a way to really get a lot out of your designer series papers, right? So I'm going to place one down on this side, all the way to the edge. So this is 5.5 by 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And on this one, I have some solid blue, or well, mostly solid, so I'm going to put that over here. And again, I'm finding that the wet glue does come in handy on situations like this to make sure that I line it up, and I can just, adjust it just the littlest bit if I need to. Okay, so now that I have these down, and I can see that I didn't quite go to the edge because I don't have my glasses on. So here we go. Let's fix this. So it's a little, I probably let it stay a little too long, but I'm just going to adjust it just a little bit. So now we have that space in the center, and we're going to take a piece of 3 1/4 by 5.5 Berry Burst cardstock, and I'm going to go back to my Stampin' Seal and put some adhesive on there. And I'm going to place this in the center between them. Now, in theory, there wouldn't have been overlap, but for whatever reason, there is a little bit, and that's okay. So that way, by putting down the edges first, we can cover up any inconsistencies and make sure that it is right in the center. Now we're going to take a piece of 3 by 5.5 inch basic white cardstock, and I've embossed this with the brick embossing folder. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put that down. And again, I like to use wet adhesive when I'm working with something that is textured so that it gets into the nooks and crannies. I know you're all sick of me saying that already, but I like to say nooks and crannies. And I'm just going to center this, and this does go edge to edge. And again, I can adjust it a little bit because it's the wet glue. And I'm going to hold it down for, a count of 10 or so. And there we have it. Okay, so that is our card base, and now we can decorate it any way we want in the middle. What I chose to do was to use one of the lovely label dies. Now, it's not what it's called. They're called something fancy dies. And I love that these are layered, and I could, for this particular card, I'm not making a layer, but I could have if I wanted to, but I'm going to use this one to stamp my sentiment. And I could have used one of these sentiments, which are very nice, but I'm going to use, as I showed you before, we're going to use one from here, and the one is the Thinking of You. I'm going to use this one right here. Okay, and we're going to stamp that with Pretty Peacock. So let's see, just got to find my die cut that I know I die cut earlier. Here it is. There we go. So I've just gone ahead and die cut that as you normally do with the Big Shot or the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And here's my saying. So you'll see how you can see I get a lot of use out of this particular stamp set. Again, because I love the font, but you'll see that it kind of looks like it's been dipped in red. I'm not sure, probably was at some point. It just gets stained. The photopolymer does stain, even more so than the red rubber. Red rubber tends to be able to be cleaned off, but I don't mind. I know some people get a little freaked out when their rubber or their photopolymer is stained, but as long as you clean it each time before you stamp, the ink does just wash right off. Okay, so I don't have to worry about that, but you have to remember to clean it. That's all. All right, so we have our Thinking of You, and we're going to go ahead and put this on to the center top portion of our card using dimensionals. And I'm going to use 2 on this one. One, I don't go all the way to the edge, but I don't go just to the center either. I want to give it a little bit of lift. And I'm going to go ahead and put that here. Okay, great. So now that we've got that, that's, we could stop there, but rather than stopping, we are going to stamp using Lost Lagoon and one of the 3 different leaves. Let me show you the leaves again that are on here. In this stamp set, we have these 3 different leaves. We can also use different colors. These line up to stamp the center of those, but we're just going to use this one just because it makes it easier. And I'm going to take a piece of scrap white paper and stamp down my flowers. And I used Lost Lagoon on this one. And I didn't quite get that right. And because I have lots of paper here, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I just want to make sure, let's see, I'm near an edge. So this is something that you want to think about. You want to be able to make sure that your punch can fit inside. I'm sorry, your paper can fit inside your punch. So I'm going to slide this in and line it up. And that's how I'm going to get this out. But had I done it perhaps facing the other way, I would not have been able to get this into the punch, so I would have had to cut down my paper to do it. But I didn't have to this time because I thought ahead a little bit. And then I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper that is berry burst, and I'm going to stamp that. Now, of course, we could go crazy and do lots of these, but I'm just going to stop at 2. I'm going to use a little bit of my wet adhesive and put this on there. Hi, Carol. I saw your message come in earlier. Just couldn't stop to say hello. I know it's such a fabulous set of fonts and images on this particular stamp set. So pretty. So I'm just gluing that down, and then I'm going to put a little bit more glue onto the back side of my little teeny flowers. There we go. And put that down here. I'll just cross them over just a little bit. And there we have our little flowers on here, our leaves, okay? So before we finish off this card, though, let's go ahead and use some of our festive pearls. Now, I want to talk about the festive pearls a little bit. You got a lot of pearls on here, and they are 4 different colors. We have the red at the top, so I guess that's real red. I think it says it in the catalog. These are green. They're just a pale shade of green, but they go beautifully with the Lost Lagoon. These are a very bright silver, and these are very bright gold, and love them. Love to use them everywhere I can. And just so you know, if you sign up for my ultimate Christmas card kit class, you get a full package of these with your kit to add to all the different card projects. So look for photos on the about those cards from that Christmas card class coming soon. I haven't posted any real photos of those, but I will get those up. And that class becomes available on October 15th, and it's selling out very quickly. I'm really surprised. So anyway, well, not surprised, but excited. But anyway, there's a little commercial for that. But these are our 2 cards. Deborah, thank you. I know, this paper is just so beautiful. And I just want to, oops, that's the same card. Let's get the other card out. There we go. So here we have our 2 cards. And let me just pull up that paper one more time so I can show you what it was made with. So that is the Masterfully Made Designer Series paper. All different colors, just really interesting looking designs. They were made by artists where then photographs were taken of the paper. So it's really cool. These are some paper roses, and that were all made and then photographed. So really, really cool paper, really versatile stamp set in the layering leaves. So anyway, that is a little bit from the main catalog so that we don't forget about it. You know, I tend to be just like everybody else, where I get so excited about the new catalog that I forget that there's a whole big catalog of wonderful things to be had, and we can mix and match from the catalogs, or we could just go back and get back down to basics. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. The measurements for both of these cards will be in the comments of this video on YouTube. And I think that's it for now. So next week, we will see you. And next week, I will have a preview of something in my card classes that are happening next Friday and Saturday, October 13th and 14th. So those are the next ones coming up. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Thanks, Sharon. I'm glad you liked them. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.